Alright everyone, welcome. At long last we're here. The last episode, or what I like to call the Avalon ending of Fate Stay Night. It's been a bit, but we're finally here. I hope you're all excited too. I can't wait to get to this, as well as the finale of it all. I'm gonna miss this game, but it's not all lost because there's so many other Fate titles to follow through on afterwards. But until then, we're just gonna bask in the glory of this last episode and enjoy for what it is. So I hope you all continue to enjoy. Thank you again for the love and support. It's been a blast. Let's get to it. Clang. A ringing sound. There was a light, and for the rest of my life, I'll never forget that sound. The sound of the bell that announced the beginning of battle. She made even the most rugged armor seem beautiful.
To, あなたが私のマスターか?
That voice still rings clear. Instead of that image fading away, it is still clearly engraved in my memory.
Shoukanに従い参上した。これより我が剣はあなたと共にあり、あなたの運命は私と共にある。ここに契約は完了した。
Right, the contract was formed. Just as she chose him as her master. So he vowed to help her. The moonlight still shines brightly in the darkness. The shed regains its former tranquility, as if to emulate the night's appearance. Every time I think back, I find myself murmuring her name. The azure light is all but forgotten. Her hair, like golden sand bathed in the moonlight. Years later, during one of my naps, I find myself remembering the clash of swords from long ago. I don't recall the correct order of things. Memories are distant and dim, and what I felt then is back in the distant past. Let's talk about the past. It's a story about a boy and a girl, over a holy grail, that took place over the short span of 15 days.
"その時は私が死ぬだけでしょう。シローが傷つくことではなかった。繰り返しますが、今後あのような行動はしないように。マスターであるあなたが私をかばう必要はありませんし、そんな理由もないでしょう。ですから、そんな人間がいるとしたら、その人物の内面はどこか欠落しています。その欠落を抱えたまま進んでは、待っているのは悲劇だけです。あなたが戦わないというのならいい。
違うわセイバー。シローはサーバントを侮っているわけじゃない。そのあたりを誤解しちゃうと話が進まないから口を挟ませてもらうけど、 だから無茶でも戦う。勝てないって分かっていながら勝とうとする。その結果が自分の死でも構わない。なぜならあんたの中ではどうしてか知らないけど自分より他人の方が大切だからよ。
It really was foolish. No one person can save others. If I really wanted to end this battle, I knew what I had to do from the very beginning. A certain man asked whether I was really not gonna fight, not kill, and not let anyone kill. If I realized my mistake, I should first decide on what to fix, then decide who to punish. To this day, one of the most epic moments in this visual novel when I first played it was him falling down from the school building and calling out for Saber to save him. It was so surreal and like awesome to see. And then even cooler to see when you see it animated, but again, I am still looking forward to the affordable version whenever the hell that comes out. Dazed, I reached my hand out, but not because I wanted help. I just thought the sky was so far away. That was my final thought, I think.
その堅くなさは実にあなたらしい。まったく今さら答えるまでもないでしょう。私はあなたの剣です。私以外の誰があなたの力になるのですか、シロ。
She and that sword were one. The sword and the stone that selected the king. The brilliance of the sword that sealed her fate was also her brilliance. Her soul must still be on the battlefield. Before daybreak, under the indigo sky, she just stared off into the distance, letting the wind blow by. A king is not human. One cannot protect people with human emotions.
いいセーバー。デートってのはね、要するに合いびきのことなの。シロは遊びに行くって言うけど、つまるところ男の子が好きな女の子にアピールするチャンスってわけ。
Ah, yes, that happened too. Luckily, the sky was high and the wind was nice and cool. That memory still lives in his heart clear as day.
王の誓いは破れない。私には王として果たさなければならない責務がある。アーサー王の目的は聖杯の入手です。それが叶おうとも私はアルトリアに戻ることはないでしょう。私の望みは初めから一つだけ。剣を手にした時からこの誓いは永遠に変わらないのですから。シローなら分かってくれると思っていた。
It's a scene from so many years ago.
それを手に取る前にきちんと考えた方がいい。
いいえ。
Even after seeing that future, she only gave a firm nod. The mage asked again if that was what she wanted.
多くの人が笑っていました。それはきっと間違いではないと思います。
She just wanted to protect everyone. But to do so, she had to abandon her desire to protect people. She could not protect our country as its king if she still had a human heart. Even knowing this, she drew the sword. Even knowing this, she vowed to live as a king. No matter what happened, her mind was made up. She abandoned her human heart. She was willing to give that up to protect her nation. Who could have known the girl would take such a noble oath? She was determined to fight. Come what may, and however it might end, she still decided to fight, even if an inevitable solitary doom awaited her.
私は選定役だと言っただろう。ふさわしい人間がいるのならば、喜んで聖杯は譲る。そのために、まずはお前の言葉を聞きたいのだ、エミヤシロ。
What I see is an all too familiar living hell. No matter how much they begged for help, I couldn't give it. If there was anything I could do, it would have been to put an end to it. I could only fix the wrongness of those living dead. I could only make the architect of that hell pay for his sins. The priest said, the truth of 10 years ago, the malice that was planted into the Holy Grail, the reality that there was no salvation anywhere. A sad event, a tragic death, misfortune that passed. There was no way to undo any of it. A champion of justice is someone who can only clean up a mess that's already been made. You'll never be able to save the very people you're hoping to save. I couldn't look them in the eye. I wanted to run away. Nothing could be done. As I listened to their pleas, I knew I had no miracle to grant. I didn't have the strength to contradict the man claiming champions of justice were just that. I have no apparent enemy. I've never wished for anything for myself. But let's say, if I did have a miracle at the ready, would I... I face the corpses. I grit my teeth as I refuse. What is lost cannot be returned. His pained expression alone makes her heart ache. What was it she had said? She could not start over. It was her duty as the king, so she refused over and over. She pledged once so long ago, something she swore to herself. She would fight, even if she loses everything, even if everyone in the world hates her. An oath from a king, a promise to fight against all odds.
聖杯が私を汚すものならばいらない。私が欲しかったものはもうすべて揃っていたのだから。
Yes, she has everything she needs with her now. Her pride as a knight, her promise as a king, even the precious dream that young girl once held. You have my unwavering trust and respect. These are not my words as a king, but as a girl who cannot protect anything. And now, I shall be your sword until the very end. The sun rises. The wind starts to pick up. A golden glimmer shines, seeming to last forever. In it,
最後に一つだけ伝えないと。
I can hear the determination in her voice.
ああ。どんな。
I try to at least sound strong. She turns. Saber looks straight at me and says, her voice clear.
シロ、あなたを愛している。
She said it. The wind blows over the mountaintop. For a moment, I close my eyes blinded by the morning sun. Then I open them again. I don't think I was surprised. I just had a feeling. Our goodbye was always going to be like this. All I see in this wasteland, Saber is gone, carried off by the gusting wind. Just like when she appeared. She left with grace, without a trace.
ああ。本当にお前らしい。
There are no regrets in my voice. Every memory, both of what I've lost, of what I've gained, remain in my heart. I'll keep them all there forever. I look out the rising sun hoping I never forgot any of this, that none of it fades from my mind for a long time to come. I watch the morning glow spreading over the distant land below. It reminds me of the golden field she fought on. This is not a story that can be shared. It is a story of a small wish, like one made on a star. It was a long journey. The time spent, the ideal that was held up, the life I tried to live, they were all probably a nuisance. No matter how far along the road he traveled, he never got any closer to the end. No rest, no giving up, no hesitation. His resolve was strong. He traveled a long path. His journey was long, endless. The reason for this was quite simple. He did not know where he had to go or what to do to find respite. It seems he somehow failed to find the end of his journey, though that should have been decided at the outset. Nothing is eternal or immortal. No matter how prosperous or famous something might have been, the more it is used, the more it deteriorates. This applies to everything: machines, bodies, even a person's mind. Everything wears out. Everything eventually fades. Which is why, even something one did not think of as painful at first may come to change after years of repetition. Your actions may be meaningful, but you yourself are worthless to the end. Hope and disappointment present themselves together. Noble ideals become worn out obligations, then finally mutate into filthy obsessions. The things that awed us, that we looked up to as children, become mundane, and although we may look back, we no longer look up. That is simply what it is to be a normal human being. But he was no normal human. He carefully locks away what pains him. And so his heart of iron is a testament to tin. That is what allows him to continue his long journey. In exchange, his sense of joy faded. But fortunately, he was not greedy. So he was happy to receive something in return only from time to time. He admired beautiful things. He traveled, seeing many people in towns. There were beautiful things everywhere, but he never was able to find the brilliant star he'd been forced to part with. His journey never ended because he had no purpose, because he never found what he wanted to find. but it was a satisfactory life. It was a long dream. The curse, the ideal, and the consequences all weighed heavily on him. No matter how long the slumber, there was no awakening. There's no movement, no refusal, and no desire, just a deep, calming breath. It is an eternal dream in slumber. The king's duties have not ended. To fulfill the prophecy, the king does not return to the time before the sword, even after death. Time passed, the nation prospered, and people changed. Even when people no longer wish for a noble king, the king's vow endured. After all, she shouldered many lives as the price of becoming king. But catching a glimpse of that dream was saddening. Scenes that peeked out from the depths of sleep. But now, she wants to convey her feelings, to have him, now distant and walking his path alone hear her. Even if it means she casts aside her humanity and becomes a machine that just repeats the same thing over and over. Even if nobody else notices his pain. I am here, and I know your strength. But her eternal oath endures. If the past can't be changed, then that in itself is eternity. The oath and its resolve now bind the king forever. She will never allow herself to become the person she'd been before drawing the sword from the stone. But she still wants to see him. Even if she has to sleep for eternity, she still wants her voice to reach him.
それは難しいな。そもそも君たちの時間は絶望的なまでにずれている。
So the mage says, that wish simply cannot be granted.
普通にやったらまず出会えない。実現するには、まあなんていうか、二つの奇跡が必要だ。一方が待ち続けて、一方が追い続ける。それもありえないと確信しながら、ひどく長い時間耐え抜かないといけない。それはほら、言いにくいけど、望むべきではない夢物語だろ。
The mage asks his question. He tells her it's impossible. He questions whether the wish could possibly be granted, or if she truly desires to pursue it, the king's duties aside.
ああ、勘違いはしないようにね。王の責任を捨てろって話じゃない。そもそも君は骨の髄まで王様だ。そんな君から誇りを取ったら何も起こらない。君はそのままでいいんだよ。僕が言っているのは正当な褒美の話だ。小娘一人が幸せに生きる権利、それぐらいの働きはしていると思うんだが。
The mage's words are plain, much like when she took a hold of the sword. He'd scoff at the hardship she would face at the time, and now, he's smiling at the future that may actually come true. There's no point in her answering. It's just a matter of whether the girl who is about to take the sword desires it or not. Either way, she lacks the power to grant her wish. Then, what difference does it make whether she wishes for it here or upon a star?
でも、それが本当にいいことなのかはまた別の話だ。アルトリア、時代も人も変わっている。あの頃のままなのは君だけだ。夢は夢のままの方が美しい。君はこのまま死んだように眠っている方が楽でいい。それでも
There's no need to answer. Even if she doesn't say it aloud, her wish won't disappear. And that would have been fine. Nobody would come visit. Finally, no one would seek her out. She just has to wait for the day the king disappears from the people's hearts and minds. All she has to do is keep that warm wish to herself as her source of encouragement, her dream, and just endure the eternal slumber. In the end, he couldn't change his ways, and she was never rewarded. And then, A long time passed between the two of them. Oh, that's spiffy. I opened my eyes. I don't know how long I walked. I thought I'd only been passing through the desolate land, but I found myself standing in a pleasant meadow after passing through a deep forest. I'm not sure where I am. How much time has passed? How far have I gone? Everything is so unclear. I dropped the weight I'm carrying and rest. I thought I would walk forever, but it seems like my journey ends here. A wide verdant space unfolds before me. The constraints that so heavily weighed on me are unraveled by the wind rustling through the grass. My heart is at peace, and each step brings me back to those days. The endless blue sky reminds me of a promise I made long ago, though I never spoke it aloud. It was a youthful illusion, a wish I made as a bluff. Because if we saw the same sky and felt the same things, if we kept pursuing it, I'm sure we could have made it happen. That's why I had thought in my hometown. And then, she awakens from a dream as well. She keeps looking up at the sky and waits hopefully. She notices that the wind has changed direction and finds herself fighting back tears. As she prays, she continues waiting for her visitor. She simply says goodbye. Until now, she's only hoped for it, but she is so thankful for that small ray of hope. My breathing accelerates. I don't believe it. I don't know how long it's been since my breathing was so labored. It feels like I'm back to being that inexperienced boy. It's a ridiculous idea. I chuckle. Just because I'm more experienced doesn't make me complete. Now that I think back, I can't even remember how many times I wished upon the sky. I wanted to see her. I wanted to see her. If it was at all possible, I wanted to hold her in my arms once more and tell her what I'd waited for so long. My heart races, but she still doesn't move. No, she can't bear the thought of ruining all his effort of walking all this way. She wants to start running to him right away, but she'll have to wait just as she has been. But she still has concerns. She'd question whether this hope, this miracle would really be allowed to happen. He is not the man he was then. His mind and body had been worn down, much like the affliction she felt. This isn't the scene that had always been on their minds. It was not an obsession, but neither was it forgotten. They held on to the past, though it faded day by day. That's why it kept going. Even if this were only a dream, he would still have expected this despair with a faint glimmer of hope. There she is. No, those deceptions are over. The hope, once remembered as only words, returns in all its vivid brightness. Everything that had been locked away for so long stirs to wakefulness. Oh, right. Blood courses through her tin heart once again. The golden earth. Her heart has finally caught up and arrived at her hometown, which is long since lost. So much feeling wells up, but there's only one thing on the tip of her tongue. How much she missed him. How long she's waited. None of that matters anymore. That's right. In the end, he could not change his way of life. Similarly, she was never rewarded, but there's things which came about from protecting that promise. In the end, something precious came from surviving all this. The important things are rising to the surface. It's lucky it had all been tucked so deep in her heart. His smile is as boyish and naive as it was so long ago. I'm back, Saber. The words that emerge come out as the same ways they were so long ago. It is as if the moment simply picks up where it left off. Her steps are light. Her face breaks into a wide smile.
Hi. おかえりなさい、シロ。
And so the dream ends. He traveled in pursuit of a star. On every journey, he saw others off. Much was lost, and much was made. At the end of it all, an infinitesimally tiny morsel that cannot begin to compare the vast span of time that's been eaten up. It's so very dazzling. For remains in that tiny palm is a dazzling coalesced brilliance. It is blinding. And then, at the end of their long journey, the two finally meet. This is the end of his journey in search of a star. And now begins the pair's next long tale. At its end, this world will continue to turn, in much the same way that he might one day become a star to someone else. The storyteller may fall silent, the performance may cease, but the story will not end. Whether it is a comedy or a tragedy, so long as there is applause, the story will never end. Like so many lives, may the warmest of blessings find those of us who were never rewarded, and those of us still traveling. Our journey continues on. God, let me tell you all, that was beautiful. I don't know how else to describe it, guys, but every time we play that last episode, it's always so heartfelt because it just showcases both their struggles to finally meet once more. It took 2 miracles to happen, and they made it work out. And it's just so damn grand. I'm glad for them. Shiro and Saber, all the way, always, guys. I'm glad you were able to join me on this. It's been a hell of a ride. Twice, technically. Twice. But well worth it, because I'll always play most Fate Stay games anyway. Especially when it involves these two. And, yeah, I look forward to more to come. If Natsu ever decides to make, others besides the gacha and what have you. But otherwise, thank you all for joining me on this one, guys. It's been so much fun. It's been so rewarding just because we get to revisit this story again with all these cast of characters, including, for most of us, our favorite Saber. We got Rin. We got Sakura. We got Lancer, Archer, Caster. So many. We can't forget Ilya, of course. But, yeah, guys, it's been fun. And, yeah, it's time to say goodbye. Thank you all. And once again, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.